And here's an example of that Google website. After some search keywords have been entered and the search button has been clicked, the results are displayed. And since Google is free for us to use, yes, it has advertisements or what they call sponsored sites. Okay? So some sites show up in your results list not necessarily because they are the best site for you to look at, but because those sites pay Google an advertisement fee, if you will, so that their website can be displayed. But they should, and I believe they do, try to distinguish from the sponsored sites over here on the right with the actual search results. And notice that these first three are in kind of a blue background. These are sponsored links also. These are not necessarily the best sites for you to find your search, but they are, as again, what we call the sponsored links. So they pay Google to show up in your search results. They should have something to do with what you're searching for. In order for them to show up in your results. Okay, and again, here's on that sponsored links. I've kind of talked about that. Typically, they are commercial sites. They're businesses. They, again, pay that search engine website so that they show up near the top of the list so that people who are using a search site will click on their links and therefore generating potential traffic, potential business for them. Okay, if you want to save and print web pages, you can save a web page on your computer or other storage device like your USB drive. That's referred to as downloading the web page. But you want to be careful of that, because saving the web page doesn't necessarily save it in its entirety. Now, they mention beware of viruses. Sure, we should always be aware of viruses. But also know that those web pages are built dynamically. Dynamically means they're kind of built on the spot. They're being rebuilt all the time. If you save the web page to your USB drive and then open it later, it might not look the same, because the pictures, videos, advertisement banners that were on the web page when you first looked at it, those were not necessarily built directly into that page. They're being loaded to that page while you're viewing it. And that's why some of the screenshots in the PowerPoint videos look different than the screenshots in the textbook. Okay? If we were to go to Google and type in the exact, I'm going to back up a slide. If we were to go to Google, and actually a couple of slides, and type in student financial aid exactly the way they have it here, our results are very likely going to be different than what we see on this page, because these pages are built dynamically. They're updated not just every day, but every minute potentially they're being updated. Okay? So also be aware not to violate any copyrighted protected web materials. Yes, it's easy to download and save files from the internet, but you should assume, unless it specifically says you can save a copy of this file for free, you should assume that it is copyrighted and it is not legal to download it. Okay? Now, printing your web page. You're going to get different kind of results depending on what browser you're using, again, but when you print a web page, also know that it won't necessarily print exactly the way you see it on your screen. The resolution of your monitor versus the resolution of a printer. You might have part of your web page cut off. Okay? Again, I'll try to demonstrate how printing web pages, you have some options. Okay? Again, I'll try to demonstrate that in a different video. Like any other application, when you're saving and printing web pages, note the Save In box when you're saving your web page, you're going to browse to your storage medium. We've practiced browsing and finding your USB drive, saving all your work on your USB drive. Okay? The file name box, so that you can provide an identifiable name for your file so that it's easy to locate. Again, we need to practice with that also. Some of you are simply saving your files as default name. Document 1, Document 2, Picture 1, Picture 2. That doesn't tell you what the document is for, what it's about, or what the picture's for about. So you've got to learn to know how to navigate to your storage location, provide meaningful, identifiable names for your files. Know that you, depending on what application you're using, for example, here we're saving web pages. Note the type of file. You're going to save as type when you see your print dialog box. Again, I'll try to demonstrate that in a separate video. Okay. Again, when printing, you're going to have several options depending on your printer, depending on your browser, and I'll give a demonstration of that. But you should, at the very least, look through your textbook, and in class this week, try to print. You don't actually have to print, but open up, say that you're going to print so you can see the print dialog box. Just don't necessarily click the OK button when it comes time to print. But I would want you to open up the dialog box and see what some of your options are. And here's an example of one of the dialog boxes you might see when printing web pages. It's the page setup dialog box. It tells you what type of paper you're going to use, what you want your page margins to be set, left, right, top and bottom margins. Again, margins are the side of the paper that doesn't get printed on. That. How much of the edge do you want to leave blank? Okay. Again, a reference to copyright laws. If you are not sure about whether or not it's copyrighted, you probably shouldn't print it and share it with other people. Okay? One of the exceptions to this law is the use of small amounts of information for educational purpose, which falls under fair use guidelines.